Hey guys, so emergency breaking news stream with you here. We are live with Wajir Leon, who is am I saying your surname right? Lionel? Lion?
Lion or Leon, either works actually.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm not immune to plenty of name in mistakes, but yeah, we're long-standing colleague, and we're actually streaming also to Substack. So be sure to check out which is Substack and mine as well. But yeah, the situation is pretty hot right now. From what we understand, the US has undertaken some operations in quite a few different areas of the of Iran. I'm just going to bring up a map here. So the latest that I can see, if I bring up my share screen here, is so this section here. So these towns, including Bandar Abbas, have had explosions occur. This was in the past like 10, 15 minutes. What's unclear is how extreme an operation this is going to be. This is also what CENTCOM just put. Began launching additional self-defense strikes against multiple targets. So began strikes me as that this is the beginning of what could be a few rounds, but a few rounds doesn't always necessitate intensity. What I mean by that is that, they could be pretty light. You can have multiple rounds, but they're pretty light, or you can have a few pretty intense rounds. It depends, but they are in response, according to CENTCOM, to Iran's unwarranted and continued aggression. You may have seen my streams from just a couple of hours earlier, we were discussing about the prospect of this happening at all. I really hoped it didn't, but here we are. And that was because that Trump seems to have been persuaded by Hegseth and Joint Chiefs of Staff General McCain to not allow the events over the Apache helicopter, and of course last night with the bases in Jordan and Bahrain, to go unanswered. So this is the concern, and Wajir, I'm going to pass it over to you in just a second. But this is the concern here, which is that this round of tit for tat with strikes and retaliation just is never ending, right? The US responds and the Iranians respond, and then we keep going back and forth. This is what happens with these two every single time, and it's a very predictable pattern. But Wajir, good to have you on. There's my initial sort of intro. What do you think of the situation right now?
Thank you. If you were watching today's podcast with Black Man Spy, Malcolm Nance, and Jacob with me, you would have heard Malcolm say exactly around 4 p.m. is when we expect to see a new attack from the United States on Iran, or from Iran against the regional Gulf state. That is because around that time is when it hits midnight in Iran, and it's the perfect time of the night where these missiles get shot, and where these drones get flown off. Now, it feels like, or it seems to me, as that Trump held off everything so he could enjoy his NBA game, have his pizza, has his fries, and sleep during the game, and then the next 2 days planning on this attack. The Iranians are expecting to be attacked. Whatever that we're hitting is not resulting in much damage. If you ask any scholar inside Iran whether our strikes are going to bring the Iranians to the table, most of them are going to tell you absolutely not. The reality of the equation is it is a war of attrition. The Iranians have way thicker skin. Yes, their economy has been struggling for years. They have mismanagement of their waterways that have gone for generations. And whatever we do is not going to cause a regime change. It's just not. We are actually causing more people to become on our side rather than people. Um, uh, we're causing people to become our enemies. There was an equation that was created by the CIA back in 2013, 2000, no, 2009, 2010. And the equation was literally measuring how many people do we create of terrorists for every drone attack that we kill innocent civilian, and it was 1.5. The result is for every individual person that we kill that's innocent, we result in 1.5 terrorists that are going to end up fighting the United States. That equation changes from one country to another. The fact that we're attacking Iran and we're killing civilians is doing exactly that. The thing is, Iran has its own military. It's not a terrorist organization. So the fact of the matter is, you're arming people up to join the Iranian military to fight us back. You're not even creating a pocket for terrorist organizations to exist. I see that we have tried to go get the Kurds and fight the Iranians, but the reality of the situation is the Kurds have learned from their mistakes. How many times have we reached out to the Kurds and asked them to fight a terrorist organization or a government and promised them this and that, and we have never delivered on it?
Yeah, well, countless times. It's one of the biggest, I think, uh, tragedies, but also cases of treachery, isn't it? That we've promised to do something and then never followed through. I'm just looking through here on some of the latest updates just to see what's going on. So yeah, we've had glass heard in southern Iran in the cities of Bandar Abbas, but also in Sirik. So those are two of the major port cities on the Strait of Hormuz, right in the middle. Officials are saying that the targets were attacked are in the southern part of Iran and include air defense systems, radars, and drone command and control units, which, just as a sort of initial reaction, right, seems a bit confusing that they're targeting air defense and drone systems, because I thought that the Trump had claimed that they had destroyed all of those. So
Yeah, we've
I thought there
taken
wasn't any
care of
there.
all of it.
What's he destroying? I don't understand, Wajir. Like, help me out here.
Listen, the fact of the matter is that we spent half of our precise missiles, and we spent another uh, tremendous amount of B-2 bombers where they have dropped one of the heaviest bombs over and over again into the bunkers that the Iranians have. The reality that the Iranians do is that these bunkers are 500 meters inside a mountain with reinforced concrete that is designed to withstand 50,000 psi. Not only that, the mountain is built with enough technology with inside of it. So if you're inside of the mountain, you have tractors and they have other machinery that they can rebuild everything that was destroyed from with inside the mountain. Nevertheless, it is easier for them to fix that concrete that they have created, and that concrete just makes it harder for everything else to happen the way that the Americans do. So, what did we use our missiles on? We sent it to rocks. We literally bombed most of our missiles on rocks.
Yeah, no, the whole claim of the bunker busters. So I'm just putting on a better camera here because my other one's a bit old. So just doing that. But yeah, no, I mean the whole point. Ah, there we go. Some better quality camera. Hello, everybody. Yeah, no, I mean, look, what I'm expecting is that these strikes are going to be quite spaced out. I don't think we're going to see an intense amount of strikes there, would you? But I'm going to hand it to you because I have to go and grab a package. So I'll be back in a second. But,
Okay.
what are your thoughts on the situation right now?
Uh, the real situation is very complex. So we did get here. Let me pull out the news. So we did get the Iranian air defense batteries were activated in the strategically sensitive southern west province of Fars. targeting an audible explosion in an immediate vicinity. We are supposedly are targeting Iranian military infrastructure, but we have been supposedly targeting the Iranian military infrastructure for 3 months. 3 months. We're targeting the Iranian military infrastructure. We are supposedly have decimated the Navy fleet, but the reality is we did not take care of the mass boats that they have, and we were not able to take care of the mines that they have in the Persian Gulf. In fact, we are so incapable of taking care of the sea mines that our ships that are supposed to have sonar systems and have the scanners that can look for these mines, they're not even at the vicinity that is necessary to actually do their job. It was in Tokyo 2 weeks ago, by Tokyo, well, 2 weeks ago. And we're
So I'm back.
asking
Sorry
the
about
Europeans. I was talking about the sea mines. I was saying that supposedly we have taken care of most of the military vessels that the Iranians have, and we weren't able to take care of it. And we were supposed to have been able to take care of the sea mines, but the ships that are supposed to be over there to dismantle the sea mines are not even there. In fact, after the Gulf War, after the first Gulf War, it took the United States more than 6 months to dismantle the sea mines by Iraq in the Persian Gulf when
that.
no one was shooting at them. It was after the war. It took us 6 months to dismantle the sea mines after the war ended, not during the war. So
So
the ships
I'm
that
just
we
looking
have are
here.
not capable of demining these mines.
No, well, the US doesn't have that kind of capability, does it? It's well, not at least whilst the Iranians are pounding them. And just seeing here as well, Wajir, that there's been some new strikes. Hang on, further down in the southern part of how do I share my screen? Yeah, a new round of strikes have been hit around Bustanu, so just up along from this. So the US really seems to be striking around Keshem, the island, and hitting anywhere that is of a maritime significance. I think to the
That's the
Iranians.
where the maritime command and control for the IRGC is there.
Which what in Bandar
Kashem
Abbas,
Island. But Kashem Island and Bandar Abbas is between those two.
home to the headquarters of Iran's IRGC and regular navy, according to OSINT Technical. Yeah, explosions have been heard in different parts of the Hormozgan province. So it looks to me, I mean, tell me what you think, Wajir, if this is going to be a relatively limited operation based on simply just the southern part of the country, and the sort of the I think anything that has to do with the Iranians' capacity to influence the Strait of Hormuz, anywhere
Well,
to
30 minutes ago, Pete Hegseth came out and said, we are ready to bomb the Iranians to bring them to the negotiating table. And Trump said that in the White House 30 minutes before him. So this White House happens not to hold any cards back, or they're not able to hide their cards very well. They seem to bring everything on the table right away. So they told us exactly why they made this attack. So this attack was not to prevent Iranians from attacking their neighboring country. This attack was not to prevent the Iranians from attacking Israel or from the Iranians to mine the Persian Gulf. It was literally made to bring the Iranians and convince them to come to the negotiation table. What's funny about that is the only people who can withstand that much attack from the Americans and continue doing whatever the fuck they were doing without having any problems are the Iranians. All of the GCC nations, out of all of the neighboring countries, the only ones that are capable of doing so, the Iranians. They have a mosaic military style, and they have a government that is more sophisticated than any government in the world, not in the Middle East. The way that their government overlaps one over another, gives them so many tools in their pockets to easily maneuver. If you cut one head of the snake, you have another 10 heads that you have to cut off instead of two. So the Iranians have been looking at the United States and they have been studying U.S. Style of attacks. And after a while, they learned that the United States is all focused about decapitation strikes and they're focused on precision attacks. That's how they took care of Osama bin Laden. That's how they took care of many heads of states. And they knew that many of the leaders that they have will die, will be assassinated, will be killed. So they prepared. If you kill this person, the rest of the group knows exactly what to do. You're on mute, by the way. We couldn't
Yeah, I
hear
do that
anything you said.
sometimes. Yeah, no, thanks. No, I'm just. We had a lot of statements of defiance talking about the absolute readiness of the IRGC and the armed forces, the regular armed forces. As you've rightly pointed out, our TESH is not the IRGC. That's the regular conventional military that looks at domestic affairs of Iran versus the IRGC, which is about projecting power across the Middle East and is a lot more ideological. Then you've got the Basij paramilitary entity, which is a unique case, I think. But they've been listening to what's been coming from the US for hours at this point. And to be honest with you, I really would, I don't know about you, but I was really on the fence about whether or not this was actually going to happen, purely because the United States president was telegraphing it so much. It's quite unusual for Trump to constantly be saying, we're going to strike, and then they do strike, because it just gives your enemy so much time to prepare, right? Okay, they didn't exactly say where they were going to strike, but it was quite unusual to see just how vocal Trump was about how much he didn't want to do the strikes, and yet they went ahead anyway. For me, the amount of times that someone like Trump is saying, well, we don't want to, it just strikes me that he really doesn't want to get back into conflict with Iran, but at the same time, he also doesn't really have a choice because of what happened with the Apache.
What I think
and Iran
happened.
strikes again.
What I think happened is the chief of staff and uh, Pete Hegseth said, "Listen, the Iranians aren't coming to the table. They're not going to give you their nuclear weapons or their stockpiles of highly enriched uranium to 60%. They're not going to give you the Strait of Hormuz. You have to degrade the Iranian military." That's what they're saying in the White House until they come to the table begging you to stop doing whatever you're doing. The Iranians are too proud to beg. The Iranians are fighting the war on their home turf. It is do or die. It is not. So if Trump loses this war, he has a horrible weekend. He goes to the Mar-a-Lago, plays a couple of golf games, and come back to the White House. But if the Iranians lose this war, the way they view it is, if we lose this war, then we're not capable enough of keeping our religious state there. And in the future, people will have an uprising and bring down the religious government or whatever that will bring the end of the Islamic revolution in Iran. So the
Yeah, I
whole
mean,
point in the Iranians is survival.
Yeah, it's a tug of war between survival and egoism or egotism, right? It's and that's why no matter what people say about Iran suffering or Trump X, Y, and Z, ultimately one man's ego is not enough to supersede or overpower the existential survival of an entire system, right? A system that has been based on this very day. This is D-Day for them. This is 0 hour. This is everything that they've been planning for, right? So to my mind, I cannot see how the US outlasts Iran if we put it in a very binary basic sort of interpretation. Now I'm just seeing here as well another update reports coming in that the US attacks are to force diplomatic progress. So it's what I said earlier on, it's what I predicted earlier on this morning and yesterday. If you watched the streams then yesterday, everyone, was that this is Trump shifting from nice guy to nasty guy, good cop to bad cop. But it doesn't work because you can't play both. And as to your point, Richard, you can't do this against the Islamic Republic. They are not, or the Iranians more broadly, they are not a people who are just going to sit down and take it or capitulate. And bottom line, I think also is incredibly important for people to understand is that Iran is determined to ensure that this doesn't come off as them just being another Syria, another Libya,
Exactly.
another Iraq, right? They're not going to do that. And they're not going to turn the country into a
And the
failed state.
stupid goddamn superpowers need to learn one thing. The reason we have ISIS is because we had a vacuum of power in Iraq and Syria. The reason we had Al Qaeda expanded into Iraq is because we invaded Iraq and took out Saddam Hussein. Al Qaeda was not even in Iraq to begin with. Saddam Hussein was so strong, he beat any opposition. I'm not advocating for Saddam Hussein. I'm just saying when you create a vacuum of power, the only thing that you create is more terrorist organizations. If you want to make more instability in the Middle East, if you want to make more instability in Europe and the world economy, go ahead and decouple the Iranian regime without any backup plan. You have vacuum of power. There's so much uncertainty once a government falls. And once that uncertainty is there, terrorist organization take that opportunity like no one's business, whether it's Al Qaeda, ISIS, or new groups. That's the reality.
Yeah, well, it's the same as well, right? The with what happened with the Iranian-Iraq war in the 1980s, the US trying to play both sides and fund the other clan covertly, and then it all completely backfiring. It's just a complete mess of overextension, overreach by the United States, often with the belief that it can somehow engineer a Middle East as a whole region that is more favorable to their interests and preferred sense of governance, right? Democracy. Kia ora to you, Lorraine, as well. But looking just here as well on some of the latest, as I say, the news is quite slow because I don't expect this to be a sustained campaign all night.
Yeah.
I think, what we do this stream for maybe an hour, maybe an hour and a half. We've been going for about 20 minutes and we haven't had any other strikes in that time. I'm seeing that Iranian state media is reporting Iranian forces are attempting to attack American ships near the Strait of Hormuz. That's according to Fars, which is one of the state media companies. But yeah, as I say, like all the channels that I monitor for immediate updates, be them media networks or independent OSINT accounts and stuff, they're all pretty slow on updates. So it's not looking to me like there's a ton of activity right now. Not saying that there won't be in a moment. The Iranians are going to respond, but yeah, it's pretty insane that we've reached this point and the Trump administration. But like one thing I'm kind of curious, Wajir, is like as someone who's from the region, like how do you generally feel about the Iranian state? Do you think it's do you think that the Saudis are going to just sort of come to the point where they coexist, or do you think it could get worse? And those two are
They,
never going to sort of agree.
there was some attempts before this war in reconnecting the Saudi government with Iran. Before A couple years ago, there was no diplomatic relations between Saudi Arabia and Iran, and after Mohammed bin Salman came to power, there has been attempts to revitalize that relationship, and the embassy was created. But the fact the matter is that when Iran attacks the Gulf states, they have ruined the Gulf states' only source of income. They have ruined their ability to sell oil, and they have ruined the ability to invite Westerners to invest, and they have ruined the ability to for Westerners to come and have tourism in the Gulf states. So any possibility of foreign investments is kind of at a goodbye. All the 2030 projects that the Crown Prince was thinking about has been paused. All the investments that the United States was promised by the Gulf states have been put to an end. So you end up at a situation where the Gulf states have genuinely pissed off with the Iranians. They are actively either working to bring this conflict to an end, or they're redoing their math every 5 minutes or whether or not they should strike Iran. And when they do the math, they realize, well, Iran's still capable of hitting all of our vital points, whether it's water desalination plants or whether it's oil. Believe it or not, if Iran hits the water desalination plants in the Gulf states, that is enough for all of the foreign workers and most of the citizens to leave the country. For some of these countries, 99%, 80%, 90% dependency on water desalination plants. And they just don't have access to fresh water. So if Iran, the U.S. got really close to fucking up with Iran's water resources yesterday. And if we really fucked it up yesterday, Iran could have easily hit any of the Gulf states' water desalination plants. That would destroy the economy for the next 20 years.
Yeah. So no, no, go
Those
on.
things are not easily fixed. Sorry.
No, you mentioned the word ruined. So I just wanted to sort of say to people that I haven't actually eaten dinner yet. So I'm having the reason I had to jump off was because I'd ordered food, but we started this stream just as the food arrived. So I'm actually eating dinner, and this is why I'm sort of eating at the same time, because I'm starving and have been streaming quite a few times this afternoon. And well, he ruined my diet, put it that way. No, I agree. I just think it's very interesting because ultimately a lot of the Gulf states, well, particularly the Emiratis, have it in for the Iranians with the amount of strikes that they've had against them. But at the same time, there's a lot of discontent with the Americans, because if the Americans hadn't launched this war in the first place, then Iran wouldn't be attacking all of them. So I get the sense from people that I've spoken to across certain Gulf states that there's a certain, the frustration with the American situation, but equally, like they're not happy. They're not going to suddenly normalize ties with Iran, but equally they don't hold Iran ultimately responsible. I don't know if you agree with that, or is that a bit? It's not sort of tit for tat,
So if they were able, let's put things into perspective, right? Yemen is a failed state. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is one of the top five most spending countries on military goods. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, with the help of foreign governments like the United States and the help of Arabic countries like the UAE and other countries like Egypt, got all of them got their ass kicked in Yemen. Now, the United States itself got its ass kicked in Afghanistan and is getting its ass kicked right now without having any soldiers on the ground in Iran. What do you think Gulf states are thinking? The leaders, not the people. The people are going to come out and support their government mostly, and they're going to follow their leadership. But the leaders who are sitting in power, Do you think they're sitting around looking at the Iranian capabilities and they're like, we should go and attack Iran all at once? No, because most of those Gulf states were advocating at some point, since King Abdullah was the king of Saudi Arabia, they were, since Obama was in office, let's bring this to perspective, but since Obama was in office, the Saudis have been begging the Americans to take down the Iranians. But here's where the Saudis and the Americans and the Israelis failed to calculate the Iranian capabilities to actually own and control the Strait of Hormuz. They all thought that they can do a decapitation hit and end the regime, and that would be enough for the government to fall. So their first mistake is miscalculating Iran's ability to own the Strait of Hormuz. The second, and which is the most important mistake, is their Iranian capabilities of adapting, whether you decapitate their leadership or not, to continue operating. If you go to Saudi Arabia and you kill the king and you kill the crown prince and you kill the ones above the next to him, you've lost the game. It becomes very hard for the royal family to come together and choose someone else to come and lead, because the royal family itself is having Game of Thrones. There's at least 35,000 princes without the princesses. It's the largest family that exists on the globe, and everyone wants to have a seat at the table. So the royal family itself in Saudi Arabia is in constant conflict. Didn't you notice the Ritz Carlton when the crown prince first took office, first took a charge? The reason he did that is to make sure that all the princes and everyone that is connected to them and their economic powers are all put under check under one person. It takes that type of control, and I don't know where Piotr went at this point. Piotr?
So people were getting tired of me eating, so I found a way to only show you on screen whilst I eat something. But I will keep up the competitive eating. Heart attack incoming. Let the lad have his dinner. Yeah, anyway.
Iranian jets are
People don't
flying
like me
over
eating on
Iran,
screen.
scanning the Iranian skies, but
Never
it
fly.
seems like there is nothing that's going to happen. I don't think there is. I would give it another 20 minutes for a next wave from Americans. Usually, the Americans are very fast between wave to the next wave. They want to keep it quick.
Yeah, I don't think, and also crucially, Israeli media has confirmed that the Israel Tel Aviv is not involved in it. So it's very much a limited operation with the US making strikes against.
That tells me a lot, by the way. That says a lot, doesn't it? Especially that
Why
this
does
is
it say
supposed
a
to be
lot?
a. First of all, it says that the Americans and the Israelis aren't necessarily on the same page. It also says a lot about the current situation between Trump and Netanyahu. If the White House was doing a joint operation, was trusting of the Israelis to come to the table and behave, they would have not included them, right? But the idea is that we're doing this attack to bring Trump, to bring the Iranians back to the table. The Israelis, if they did an attack, they would attack everything, not to bring the Iranians to the table, but to bring a fail of state. There's a difference between bringing Iranians to the table with an attack versus having your ally attack to decripple the whole government. So the strategy changes, and the United States does not trust Israel at this point. Do you trust Israel to not make a crazy decision? By the way, you're still on mute.
No, I was on mute, but that's because my partner just gave me a big bowl of borscht. If you know, I'm half Russian, so I like eating borscht soup. It's vegetarian only though, so it's a bit pathetic. I'm kidding, but no. So I've got fast food and borscht. So what a unique combination, everybody. No, I'm joking, but like No, look, I agree with you very much, Vijay. Like what I find, I would go even further by saying, how revealing is it that the United States doesn't want its own coalition partner
Hmm.
in its own operations, right? The Trump administration has asked Israel or been definitive that it's going to carry out these operations on its own because they do not want the Israelis to go too far, right? Because that could
Yeah.
trigger
Hmm.
an even worse response by the Iranians. You know, my question is: are the Iranians going to respond to this? If so, in what capacity? What do you think they could do?
They will start hitting the Bahrain. They will hit Kuwait. They might hit United Arab Emirates, but I feel like the UAE might have been left alone because they have been involved in the back round negotiation recently and the Saudis. Um, but if the Iranians feel like this attack was gone too far and so has broken the Iranian trust again, then they will attack the rest of the Gulf states. I wouldn't be surprised if they would have attacked, in
Okay,
addition to Bahrain and Kuwait, they would attack Saudi Arabia and the UAE. They would definitely leave Oman alone since Oman has nothing to do with this. But the reality is that the Saudis have allowed the B 2s or the several of the American jets to fly over its airspace. And that alone is an offensive action for the Iranians, in my own opinion.
I, it, it it is very interesting, difficult to judge where and when and why the Iranians will pick certain targets. You know what I mean? In my mind, I think it's quite hit and miss that they strike sometimes because Jordan, up until this point, hadn't been involved, right? They hadn't been struck, even though because they hadn't allowed the United States and allies or Israel to use their airspace.
They were
Well,
struck in the
they all
first
they did.
5 days. They were struck in the
They
first
were
5 days of the war, yes. And they took out, the Iranians took out a couple $1 billion a scanner that existed in Jordan. The United States did have some of its higher special operation forces from the Fifth Fleet, I think, or Fifth Parade. I forgot which one it is, but there's very highly trained forces in Jordan and in a secret military base in Jordan, and but they were not hit or attacked. But in the first 5 days of the war, the Iranians attacked a radar that's worth a couple $1 billion in Jordan that has cut down the warning for the Israelis from 15 minutes to 2 minutes. And that was the attack the Iranians did in Jordan. Now they are attacking Jordan again. They say they made the coordinate. There's someone saying from the side of Iran, which I don't believe, that they have made the attack with coordination with the United States, meaning that they were supposedly hitting empty sides of the U.S. bases, or they were supposed to. Hey, we're gonna hit you. By the way, you should move away your soldiers or keep an eye on the sky. So I feel like that might have been like a big lie. But
yeah, no,
people have been asking me, is this war? Or like, I hear people like, I love Mario. I like talking to his show. But I keep seeing him saying like I still believe this war is over. This war is not over. If you know anything about the Middle East, you would say this war has at least 3 more months, 6 more months, at least, at least. This is in the entry level. United States still don't have any soldiers on the ground and don't want to put any soldiers on the ground. Everyone that is on, whether Israel, Lebanon, Hezbollah in Lebanon, Iran, and Trump, everyone is at a maximalist position. Everyone is at a maximalist position. How do you do peace negotiation? You find middle line. Trump does not want the middle line, and Iranians don't want the middle line. You do the math. You do the math.
Yeah, look, I mean, look, there's plenty of people across different social medias who just jump on the bandwagon of whatever is in. I think what is an interesting tidbit, which here is that when I first started my channel on YouTube about 2 years ago, there was you could use hashtags, right? And it gives you a sense of how many number of videos or channels are associated with that hashtag. When I first started it, it was under 10,000. Now it's 2.2 million because all videos, because people have recognized that geopolitics is a relatively easy thing. All you have to do is have some strong opinions, be provocative, controversial, say the extreme things, genocide, ethnic cleansing, wars, bombs, explosions, and you get likes and engagement. The problem is that they often don't have any professional experience whatsoever, or regional, like you're from the region, so you understand the complexities, right? I have thematic and professional experience. I'm not pretending to be an expert on everything Middle Eastern, but I know how diplomacy works, and I know how international relations and economics work to an extent. So that's the difference between
This is what I studied all my life, and literally. And I'm going back to school to get my master's in public affairs, especially when it comes to Middle Eastern policy. I specialize in anti-terrorism. I came from a family that was trying to raise me to become a mujahid, an extremist Muslim. And I am now out and about fighting religious extremism and Islamic extremism, fighting Islamic terrorism, and helping explain and break it down for security individuals. I gave my first military debrief when I was a senior in college, actually, to the Second Brigade at Fort Riley in Riley County, close to Manhattan, Kansas. So, that was the third largest military base in the U.S., still the third largest military base in the United States. And all my focus in college is how to fight extremist ideologies and how to fight terrorism and Middle Eastern conflict. So that's all I've known. Literally, that's all I've known. And after a while, you see a rhythm. You see some sort of flow, things flow in a certain manner. I haven't seen a conflict that doesn't have much support from different side, or that lasts a short period of time, especially with different proxies. I know people don't like to use the word proxies, but everyone understands what a proxy is.
So, Wajir, I'm just getting some update here. So, from Fox News, apparently, Trump's next targets are going to be bridges and power plants.
That's a war crime.
It just sounds like he's going after civilian and critical infrastructure at this point. It's not even in the. Yeah, I wanted your take on that earlier, because the strikes that they did today were on dams. Dams
Yesterday, I said it before Trump made the attack. In my podcast, 2 hours before, 3 hours or 2 hours before Trump made the attack on Iran, I said, if the Trump administration wants to put a pressure on the Iranians, which is they would attack their water infrastructure, because Iran has had mismanagement of their waterways for more than 30 years, resulting in droughts and shortages here and there. So hitting their water dam is exactly what you would do to break the Iranian infrastructure, civilian infrastructure, because they're so dependent on water, and that water is already in a drought situation. So if you hit the waterways, you are breaking the Iranian economy immediately. You're not making it easy for anyone to live. Water is the source of everything. So, number one, or that tells you how desperate the Trump administration is. Because if you are strong enough, you would bring the Iranians to their knees without hitting civilian infrastructure. But if you're that desperate, to bring the Iranians to the negotiating table, you start hitting civilian infrastructures. That is not something that is recommended by anyone in the military. It is what you do if you're a Machiavellian. If you study the art of war, if you're a Machiavellian, this is the step that you do.
So where does this leave us then? If Trump is really going to strike power plants and bridges, that's gonna warrant and justify.
Right now, MBS, MBZ, the Emir of Qatar and the Emir of Kuwait are having a joint phone call with Donald Trump, begging him not to make this attack and telling him that if he does this attack, the Iranians will attack the infrastructures in the Gulf states, whether it's oil infrastructure or water desalination plants. And that alone will destroy the Gulf state economy for the next 30, 40 years. So, if you want the Trump Tower in Saudi Arabia, if you want your parks and you want your uh, other projects to go, you need to not make that attack. Now, Pete Hegseth want this attack to happen.
Well, Hegseth is chomping at the bit at any opportunity to launch attacks on anyone and everyone. Let's be honest. He was in Guantanamo earlier today before landing in Florida, basically stating, we will be ready and you should be ready effectively to attack Cuba next. So
U.S. warship was hit in the Strait of Hormuz, now claiming that the missile involved was hypersonic. The original claim arrived with no named vessel, no damaged description, and Centricom. No confirmation from Centricom.
Wait, hang on. Who used the bloody? Who used the what? The US's claim. Who said that the Iranians used a hypersonic?
Yidioth, Yedioth, Yidioth.
Yeah.
Yidioth is expanding its unconfirmed report. I guess that's a channel or that's a source. That's a source. It's a questionable source, huh?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of, it's often used as unconfirmed reports, and then it's substantiated by actual reports. Yeah, I mean, I have unconfirmed reports that, the United States has just surrendered to Iran.
Fresh explosions right now in Bandar Abbas, reported by Al Jazeera right now.
Well, there you go.
I told you in 20 minutes.
You said that. You said that. They would have new reports. There'd be another round in sort of 20 minutes. And you said that about 15 minutes ago. Yeah. So when we started this stream about 45 minutes ago, the strikes had already started. So that was about 20 past 10 UK time, right? So it's, well, what time is it in Iran, in sort of the Gulf? Is it in Dubai? It's like what?
I have it in front of me right here. Right now in Jeddah, it's 1:35 a.m. Dubai, it's 2:35 a.m.
Yeah, it's 2:35. Yeah, so it's about when I expected them to be doing it, to be honest. Yeah, that makes sort of so what they might do another round, so maybe another two.
Another round or two, I believe, unless the Iranians start attacking vital points. And unless the actual ship attack is real, that would break shit. That would make the Americans go crazy. Unless that we have actual, if we have any deaths in that supposedly unconfirmed attack, that would break things off the chart.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying here. I'm not getting any confirmation of those latest strikes, though. Yeah, the Israeli media report the US is striking Iran in several ways and that the Israeli military is not involved.
That is from Al Jazeera right now, though, the news source I got.
Okay, hang on. Let me just see what's going on here with.
The Iranian main naval hub keeps absorbing hits. Bandar Abbas command everything Tehran does in the Strait of Hormuz, like I was saying earlier, and it has now been struck in round after round this week, with tonight's blast moving into a new quarter of the city.
Yeah, so Israeli media, American informed Israel in advance of the operation. That doesn't surprise me. Denial of any explosion in Asaluyeh. FARS, which is the state media report investigation, indicate that no explosion has taken place in what was claimed to be a petrochemical and refined area of this region, and the news published in this region is false. The governor of Asaluyeh also denied in an interview with FARS that any projectile hit or explosions occurred within the city limits. So what we're seeing now is the typical, what would you call it, like damage, crisis management, limiting what's actually happening. Just to answer one quick question, do we still think a US ground operation is completely off the table? Yes.
No, it's off the table now because Trump doesn't want to risk any soldiers, but he could be convinced otherwise, knowing how he thinks.
Interesting. I think that's out of the question.
The reason I think so is because he keeps bringing up the nuclear cake. And Pete Hegseth is going to end up saying, listen, you want the nuclear cake? We attack all of the bases around that nuclear, whatever we think it is. This is what I think is going to happen in my head with Hegseth and Trump. Oh, we're going to destroy these bases. We're going to have a perimeter, and we're going to destroy this and this and that. We're going to have a like a land strip for the yeah, basically. And then we're going to send our special forces, and they're going to break in. And Trump is going to think, oh, it's an in and out 5 hour thing, and then we're going to be done. But I think that's how he could be convinced. But is it off the table at the moment? It's absolutely off the table at the moment. I think we have used every bomb that we have on our menu, unless it is a nuclear bomb. We haven't used any nuclear bombs. Even if you use a nuclear bomb on the Iranians are going to be even against you more, because the mentality of the people you're dealing with are mentality of martyrs, of people who are ready to go to heaven, especially when the enemy is at the door. Because in Islamic philosophy, when jihad comes to your country, it doesn't only become obligatory on the people in that country to fight the jihad. It becomes almost like a commitment that if you die, whether you have fought or not, you are a martyr and you'll go to heaven. So people, even if they have a lot of anti-Iranian sentiment, even the ones who are against the Iranian government, unless you're like with the Shah, they're coming out and they're saying, what the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? You're killing us. You're not killing the Iranian government. You're dropping bombs on civilians here and there. You're not making people on your side. You're making people against you. Let's see if I have any other news.
No, I agree. So I'm on my third course now, everybody. We've had borscht, fast food, and now we're having lobster. No, I'm joking. But no, I'm just going to read a bit more actually here that I thought was interesting, because the consensus was that yesterday and this morning, so in the past 24 hours to about 12 hours ago, the exchange of the attacks between the Iranians and Americans last night was over the downing of the Apache helicopter, right? As we know. Both sides announced the end of their operations, right? They made it very clear that they're not going to continue past a certain point. But now we have the point of the Americans launching their own operations, initiating their own wave of attacks. And that's largely linked, I think, to the negotiations. It is an effect, it is a typical effort of coercive diplomacy in its most extreme sense, right? Using aerial maneuvering and operations to try and force the capitulation of the other side. The US, or Trump more specifically, is impatient and simply just fed up, unhappy with the pace of the talks. And it's just a repeat of what launched this entire bloody war in the first place 103 days ago. The Iranians have been talking about the situation where they can't accept being forced into a deal that is detrimental to the future and to the sovereignty of their state as they see it, and even to the whole security. A deal that the Americans are trying to force them to through bombing campaigns, right? That is it. Through the forced imposition of your terms instead of through a sort of a peace and olive branch approach. And this is going to go nowhere. It's never going to get anywhere because Trump doesn't seem to understand that that's not how you engage with the Iranians. It makes me think of how the Chinese engaged Taiwan, right? The Chinese have tried incentivization. They've tried softer power, but after a while, Trump Xi gets fed up, and so he uses hard power. He utilizes military coercion or posturing around the Taiwan Isles and the cross strait to try and get the Taiwanese to play ball, which doesn't work. But yeah, I just don't see where this is going to go. What I find more pathetic with Gia, and I kind of want your thoughts on this, is that this war is not, they're not doing this at an intense enough rate, right? It's been over an hour since that first round of strikes, and we've had some partially confirmed reports of them striking another part of the Iranian coastline. That's not a way to induce fear or coerce your enemy into like, you've overwhelmed us with military action. Please let us capitulate, right? It's not intense enough. This is a boring campaign. I have to be honest. I'm struggling of things to cover. There's not enough updates.
It's I'm not gonna say the exact same thing. What I will say is that even if the United States was trying to bring Iran to its knees, right, this attack would have not done so. If you're going to say we attacked this island to further dismantle the Iranian military infrastructure, you've been hitting tens of thousands of targets in that island in particular for 3 months. For 3 months, you've been hitting targets in that island. What have you missed? 10,000 attacks plus just in one island. And then you have an infrastructure that you cannot touch, because then you would be committing war crimes. Civilian infrastructure, you would be committing war crimes. Does Trump want to face International Criminal Court, or does he want to end this war with peace? He's finding himself in a pickle. He can't control the Israelis.
That's a very British way of putting it.
He's finding himself. That's a British one.
Yeah, that's quite a British way of putting it. Yeah.
I just pick up what makes sense instead of use it.
No, I mean, look, just how many times can you say the same thing? But the war is so intense, and it has so many consequences. It's so consequential for the global economy and everyone that we have to follow these updates. We have to follow these events because they are so significant, right? Iran state war.
At this point, I know not to take a nap at 3 because I know the attack usually starts at 4 my time. I usually, like, at this point, I'm like, oh, if any attack happens, it's going to happen at 4. So I wait, because yesterday I took a nap around 3. By the time I woke up, the action has started. I felt like I was behind. But you're absolutely correct. If you stop watching what's happening for maybe a day, you're already behind with half of the news that have came out, or maybe 3/4 of the news that came out.
Yeah, I mean, look, now I'm just seeing a report here. Again, it's from Iranian state media, but IRIB said that a US F-16 jet entered the Persian Gulf on Wednesday and was targeted by Iranian defense systems, after which the fighter jet was repelled and moved away from the area. The Americans have, according to Iran's MER news agency, attacked 7 locations on Iran's southern coast so far. So that's what we've seen confirmed on geolocations and some maps as well, about 7 different. And we were also seeing that just now Iran's military command announces that the Strait of Hormuz is now completely closed to all shipping. Any ships attempting passage will be attacked. That's come in the past minute. So that's what the Iranians have done. They've
So following
to,
that's the official statements following the continued acts of aggression by the criminal United States, quote unquote, and giving start of attacks by its invading military on parts of the southern Hormuz province. The Strait of Hormuz is from this moment declared closed to all vessels and traffic due to the regional insecurity, and any passage will be struck. Is that the same one you were reading?
No, that's a different one actually. Hang on, I'm just looking at flight radar here as well, because it's worth looking at the airspace right now, given what's going on. So yeah, the airspace over Iran is completely closed. Let's just bring this up here for everyone to see as well. No, not that one. No, this one. Yeah, so no, it's completely closed. How do you close that? I'm trying to get rid of that. It won't allow you to close it. Okay, whatever. Well, there you go. So yeah, look at that. Completely closed. Not even Iraq.
Oh yeah, that was a few hours ago, or is that now? Is that live?
So yeah, this is live. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all you need
So
to
this
know right there.
one flight. Oh, hang on. There's one airplane. What's that one? Bangkok. Bangkok is wow. Mahan Airlines is really bold there. We should definitely fly on Mahan Airlines, everyone. Wow, that's impressive.
I hope they're serving hot food there.
They've got a decent amount of alcohol on board. Well, actually, no, not based on the state religion, perhaps. Yeah, okay. So there's a lot of flights going on, but this is the area down here. So you do have the Bandra Airport and Bandar Abbas International Airport.
Is that plane close to the thing? That plane right there. That plane right there. That was close to. Nope. To the left. To the left. That's so close to. Could you check what that is? Yes, the one that just became red. Nope. To the right. Above it. Yep. What is that one? Here you go. That's the one. That's the one you keep your eye on.
Well, it's been in a holding pattern for the past actual. So 7:24. So it's been busy for a while.
Yep.
Right. Okay. So it took off from Saudi.
Exactly.
And then entered into Emirati airspace.
You notice it's the closest plane to Iran. All the other planes are behind that plane.
Well, no, this is another US Air Force.
Yep.
K-35R. So that's. I'm not a naval or. Okay, so it's a Boeing KC-135 Strato tanker. So that's a refueler. So they're in a holding pattern. So they're refueling. These are refueling. What do we have? So this one flew directly from
Saudi Arabia.
I wish we could close this distracting upgrade to remove sidebar. Sorry about that, everyone. Yeah, so they both took off from outside Riyadh around Al Kharj. I mean, you're from Saudi Arabia, are you not?
Al Kharj, yes.
Okay. Okay, so the Emiratis are flying. We've got, okay, so these are all Etihad, UAE. Okay, so we've got a clear flight path, but just up the road, we've got
Just
these
those two, the closest two to the Iranian borders, yes.
And then Indigo.
No, you're gonna need more to the right, closer to. Yep, right there. That's the military. Because you're gonna go. The United States is hanging out in the Omani Gulf, and that's where you'll find more military jets for the U.S.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of US military aircrafts up here. Nothing going on up here by the looks of it. Anything? What's that one? Yeah, so that's another B762. Because when this whole thing started going on, it was the first launches. Yeah, it's a B762 is an aircraft designated for the Boeing 67200.
I am now using the same thing.
As the physical foundation for Pegasus in advance. So again, it's all refueling or cargo. So these are all well, that kid is just that was a freaky advert. So these are all refueling or cargo planes. But yeah, what I was trying to say before was that these flights taking off were coming from Iraq originally. When the US first started, it was coming from Iraq. Yeah, so you've got if you see two particular flights with nothing else really around them in these kind of things, and so these guys are in holding patterns. So the Saudis are allowing the Americans to use their airspace for these ops.
That's why I think they might be getting hit.
What, you think the Iranians will justify that as a reason to strike?
Yes. I have a strong feeling about that.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep that on there for now. Just keep watching that.
Yeah, 12,900 people is just tracking that one plane, the refueling tanker.
Oh, tracked by 12,000. Wow, that's nuts.
That just tells you everything you need to know about that tanker.
11,000 following the other one.
Mm-hmm.
No one's following. Tracked by 5,000 people. 5,000. 5,000. Yeah. Okay. And what about these two up here then? So there's quite wow. Look at that. One wonders what the United States crew are doing in that kind of situation, right?
Which one is this?
This is another cargo / refueling aircraft in the southeast, northeast.
There is one above that. Yes, there's one above that. I see it. Above the mom. 7,000 people, right?
Mm-hmm. And then we've
got the other I'm telling you. I'm not seeing any AWACS yet.
For people less familiar, explain what they would be for.
That is a plane that is a command plane on the sky. It basically is a different type of center command, but that flies in the sky. It scans the whole thing for hundreds of miles, and it direct these fighter jets to go to different places and the refueling jets. But I'm looking for that, and I'm trying to look for it. The refueling, there's two refueling jets that are by right north of Dammam of Saudi Arabia. Each of them, one of them is from Tel Aviv. Both of them from Tel Aviv.
What I think is interesting is if you look at this KR-35 that I'm looking at right now, it's currently departing. It's heading back. I don't know if that means operation ended or it's just giving space to this one. Now, this is the most tracked plane in the world, this KR-35. But as I say, this one is on the way back. This one. So this one was there for a while. So it's just been replaced by this one, which is now conducting the holding patterns. So what
Makes
I think
sense.
so we're going to have another round of strikes based on the way that these planes are going to be there. They're going to be refueling from this one. This one's been done.
American, let me translate this. The U.S. State Department, in light of regional development, U.S. citizens in Iraq are advised to maintain a high level of vigilance and stay informed through local news sources. This is just to give you a reminder. Beginning of this war, we had a U.S. journalist who was kidnapped by uh, Iranian militia followers in Iraq, and she was released after some peace talks. But let me continue this. Travel descriptions or airspace closures may occur without warning. U.S. Embassy in Iraq reminds U.S. citizens that Iraq is classified under Level 4, do not travel, and emphasize do not travel to Iraq for any reason. Depart immediately if you're currently there. That's the State Department, not me.
Yeah, I'm also seeing here that 2 commercial ships attempting to cross the strait have been attacked. That's after they declared the strait was closed. Central headquarters of Hazrat Katam. From this moment, due to insecurity in the region, the Strait of Hormuz is declared closed to the passage of any type of vessel, including oil tankers and commercial ships, and any passage will be targeted. Following the criminal aggressions of the American enemy and considering the beginnings of attacks by that country's invading army on areas of the south of Hormozgan province, due to insecurity, the strait is declared closed, and etc. U.S. claim regarding the passage of a ship through the mentioned strait is denied. Case of my claim of reality versus yours. Iran's top military commander Khatem al-Binya, following U.S. strikes, has said that the Strait of Hormuz is declared closed to the. Okay, well, that's the same thing. Yeah, I mean, that's what it is right now, right?
I just found another plane from Tel Aviv. That their transponders just got turned on in northern Saudi Arabia. Also, it looks like refueling.
Well, flight radar doesn't have the capacity to track fighter jets, does it? I've never really used flight radar much.
I've seen fighter jets every once in a while on there, but I know that there are some fighter jets that we just cannot track for sure. But the interesting thing is these planes are turning on their trackers. No, this plane came straight from Tel Aviv. Yep, and I think, yeah, no, it came straight from Tel Aviv, and it's going through the northern Saudi Arabia to central Saudi Arabia, or northern Saudi Arabia to northeast Saudi Arabia. You want me to show it to you?
Yeah. I'm just looking. So we've got two tankers in holding patterns on either side of the what do you call this section? The peak, well, I guess on the other side of the strait. We've got these two still doing their thing. I think they're just there as a temporary. I mean, the rest of that flight. What is this one?
Here you go.
Yeah. So other than that one plane in Iran, one wonders why did this one get through?
That's a good question.
Why is Mahan Airlines given the green light to come through? It's quite unusual to me.
1, 2. Is there a way to filter those planes?
Not that I can see, no.
To only military.
Well, so some people are taking issue with my title. Guys, that's literally what the US has said these strikes are. I'm not supporting it. I'm just saying US launches missiles on Iran in, quote, self-defense, right? That's the point of the quotation marks. It's not me supporting or believing as the actual case, right? I obviously it's not self-defense. It's complete horseshit. But that's not why you use quotation marks, right? Yeah. Okay. So this is what the Islamic Republic have just shared. So this is, if someone only speaks Farsi, but apparently this is what it means to say that the Strait of Hormuz is completely closed, affecting all traffic, and has attacked 2 ships. I don't know if it says all that, but that's what they've put as the closure. So that's where we are right now. Yeah, absolutely insane, to be honest.
I would give it another 10 minutes to see if the US would do another attack.
Yeah. Is this the stupidest thing any American president has ever done? Vietnam was pretty stupid.
Yeah, that's about one of the stupidest ones that we have done.
Afghanistan was pretty stupid. One of the things that I came to really, there's a great series I recommend people listen to on podcasts called Real Dictators. It takes you through the lives of certain dictators. And one of them was Pol Pot. Now, Pol Pot is not someone I know very well, but I really learned a lot from that series. It was sort of like 4 or 5 parts about how he took to power and then lost it. But what you learned was the bombing campaigns and the Nixon administration and Kissinger undertook, and they didn't necessarily overlap. But the point I'm making is that there's a bit of feedback, I think. Was simply that the campaigns that the Americans did against the Cambodians in Laos, sorry, not Cambodia, Laos, just carpet bombed. That was one of the probably most egregious things I think the Americans have ever done. But that's just if you really want that. But I think this is a pretty stupid one considering what we've learned about the Middle East. What I find worse is that Trump ran on the platform of him ending forever wars, and now he's stuck in the most forever of any that you can imagine. He has gone into one of the biggest strategic blunders against one of the most what's the word, crafty, cunning, capable oppositions I think you can imagine, right? So I think for that regard he is a complete numbnut. But yeah, I don't know what else to say. I mean, just trying to see this. It's not as intense as I thought. What I recall from the strikes yesterday, Wajir, was that they hit around 3:30, 4 a.m. So maybe they're waiting for that, that ideal timing then. Oh, Wajir left.
I'm back.
Well, that was good. Which Israeli news source do I read? I mean, I'm going to be transparent. I've been on I-24 News quite a few times. I know quite a few of the staff. I don't really know what I-24's political leaning is, but they seem like a more modern and relatively moderate. I think their main emphasis is
I know
about.
more reporters on I-24 who are anti Netanyahu than anywhere else on in Israel, but you have cut off for some reason.
It doesn't strike me as a hardcore pro-Israeli government. So yeah, I think I-24 is quite good if you
You
want.
cut off for a second. You cut off again.
Can you hear me?
You're rubber banding.
I don't think so. Am I rubber banding?
I don't know if it's just me or you.
Am I rubber banding everyone? Is my connection slow? Sorry, that's confusing.
That's better.
Yeah, there's no connection issue as far as I can tell. My audience is pretty keen on telling me that.
Okay, it's my fault then.
Yeah, it's your fault. Everybody blame Wajir. He's not a YouTube expert. I'm kidding. Sorry. No, I'm just looking at X. Any more updates? I mean, this is
Isn't
much
that
better.
much update? That's it. It might be a good idea to step into Mario Newful and give our opinion there. See some crazy people to yell at us again. I like that back and forth.
No, I'm just looking at the plane again. So the tracking has dropped quite significantly. Over a 10% of people have dropped in tracking it. The other one seems to be doing something. Oh, hang on. Let's look it up here. This other one, which seems to be making moves. So it was in this. Wait, what happened? Did I click too much for Flight Radar? I got angry.
Are you talking about the KC-135R?
Yeah, it's just
Boeing.
gone.
It's there.
No, this one is there, but there was another one. It's just turned off its transponder. So there was another eight. There was
No,
another.
I found it. 5,000. It's also a Boeing 135R. It's right here. It's right south of Qatar.
I can't
It's
see
right
anything,
there.
mate. No.
Can you see that?
There's another one. There was another one, mate. Look at my map.
Your map
Look
is
at my
too
map.
far for me. I'll try. Here, hold on 1 second.
Right. So my map. I was looking here, right? So there was another. There was another.
Oh,
It was going in this direction. It had its holding pattern here, and it just started going that direction, and now it's gone. 4,000 people were tracking it, and it's just turned off its transponder, which doesn't allow you to track the plane.
I don't know what that means actually. That's very interesting.
Yeah, because this is the main one, but this one's people are dropping following this one. It doesn't look like much is happening. I'm not sure.
It has about 9,300,
It's over
9,250.
12,000. What's going on these two? So these two are still. This one looks like it's trying to draw something in the sky to tell us something. What is this flight pattern? What is this? Why is it so jerky? I've never seen. How long has
They're
this one
both
been?
from Tel Aviv.
Oh, those ones are from Tel Aviv.
Both of them came from Tel Aviv. And then there's one little bit to the plane. The first plane to their left that you can see is also from Tel Aviv. So you have 3 planes right now in Saudi Arabia from Tel Aviv.
I'm just trying to make sense of this holding pattern, whatever this flight pattern is. It's so bizarre. Yeah, so that's that one again. Yeah, people are really dropping off following that one. Oh, is that it?
That's it.
Do you think that's it?
If for another 10 minutes nothing happens, hold on. I told you, U.S. strikes on Iran so far. That's it. Yep.
No, you really think that's the end of the strikes?
Well, we'll have to
Okay.
wait for the
No.
Iranians.
What great timing, mate. The US is just an so is it that refueler? New round of US airstrikes reported in Bandar Abbas. Is it
Yeah.
that fueler that I said was here and it's now disappeared? Oh, I'm getting good at this
Mm.
reading that shit. You can tell I did geography in school. I was a scout, everyone. What's this one? No, that's UMA.
I don't know, man. Things is not looking as things are not looking that this is going to be a slow night tonight.
Let me check.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 locations we hit.
Nah, I'm pretty
Turkey.
clear. I think it's got something to do with it, that refueler responder off new airstrikes around Bandar Abbas. They've clearly just refueled. US airstrikes on Iran are ongoing. That's US official. That's from Jennifer Griffin, the chief correspondent for Fox News. They always seem to go to Fox News for the latest to share the latest updates.
I don't know why.
Well, Trump loves Fox News. It's his bread and butter, mate. He just spends his life watching, Fox News in the day. Yeah, nothing new from Al Jazeera as well. Yeah, it's weirdly inconsistent, I have to be honest.
Oh, hold on. Sorry about that. Want to go to you want to go to Melka? Not Malcolm. You want to go to Mario?
No, mate. I run my own stuff. I'm not. I'm
You're
not
not
here to
going
work.
to Mario today. No. Okay. I don't think I'm looking here.
CNN is reporting secret mission in the Strait. I'm not seeing that really.
Well, secret. That would be the plane that just went off because it was heading toward the strait, wasn't it? It was heading away from the strait. It was heading away from the strait.
Okay, well, there's interesting stuff here. So the CNN are reporting that the first images of the dam, the reservoir that was destroyed, semi-official. How is a news agency semi-official? Does anyone have an answer for that? Posted photos of a drinking water reservoir that officials said was destroyed in a missile strike. So this comes from earlier than yesterday, right? This is what the US responded to last night. Yeah, this was a pretty big dam, cave of the drinking water reservoir where 20,000 people are required to gain water from. Yeah, and as I reported, when we first started this stream, right, Wajir, the Qatari delegation is still in Tehran, right? The source told CNN that negotiators were in Iran following consultations with the US to meet with the Iranians. State-run Islamic Republic of Iran Broadcasting IRIB reported that the visit would conclude discussions on ties between the two countries as well as the diplomatic process. So, I mean, the Qataris are not going to be welcoming the American operation right now. Not that Trump cares, but yeah, that's just bizarre, to be honest, that they're doing that whilst they're right there, you know.
I think I'll have to wait about an hour for the Iranians to start responding, or 30 minutes to an hour from the end of the American attack. So usually the Iranians will wait until the Americans stop all of their attacks and then they start attacking back. They wait for the waves to stop for some reason.
Oh, you do think they're going to respond then?
Oh, yeah.
What, tonight?
Absolutely.
Where would they hit? What do you think they would do?
They would either find an easy target. Bahrain, Kuwait are very easy to hit. And then, they would want to target something like Saudi Arabia because the majority of the planes I'm seeing. So I saw a military plane in Kuwait, but I didn't see it going anywhere. It's all like on the ground ready to go. Right? But if you look at Qatar, Qatar has no military jets out there. If you look at Kuwait, even the military jet that was there is no longer there.
Oh, so a bit of interesting. So Donald Trump has conveyed a message to Iran via Qatar that the strikes were a response to the Apache helicopter incident and were not intended to signal a wider conflict. But at the same time, Fox News yet again reports that the missile strikes are ongoing. So it's we don't want to escalate. We don't want to take this further than we have to, but
we will.
We are still taking it further than we have to. Yeah, we don't want to. We don't want to. This war isn't meant to get worse, guys. Please don't respond. But we are going to keep attacking you, so that might, well, what's the word? Legitimize a response.
I just found another plane. It's also a Boeing refueler. No.
I love this. We want to damage you by getting the element of surprise. So what we're going to do is telegraph our entire operations before we do them. Just where we hit, what you need to do. Great face. Yeah, I know. It's I'm an expressive individual. Senior US defense officials say the claim by Iranians is not true. South Pars gas field is not a target. Right, okay, so it's our word against yours. US crude now up by 6%.
Yeah, the price of oil this morning was around $83. Today, wow. Right now, yesterday was $83. This morning, right now, is at $93. Yesterday was 83, today is 93. $10 up.
This is just madness.
Trump just authorized a new strike on Iran and sent a message through Qatar. You just read that.
Well, that's the latest update. But I mean, is it one strike? Is it one strike per one tweet? Do you think?
It's stupid of him to share that, though.
Let me just
I don't
see.
know if you know this, but the U.S. government told the Iranians not to read Trump's tweets.
Really?
Yeah. Especially when it comes to the negotiations. They're like, don't look at Trump tweets. It doesn't mean anything when it comes to talking to our people.
Let me see here.
I'm not finding anything here.
Yeah, I'm just checking another website. Yeah, news is pretty scarce. I'm looking at The Guardian, I'm looking at Al Jazeera, I'm looking at CNN, I'm looking at Sky. Wait.
I tell you what, let's take a break. And if anything happens, let's resume.
Yeah, I would just say, yeah, so the latest is, guys, look, I mean, the reality is that we've had a new fresh wave of strikes. The US has carried out strikes on multiple targets in Iran after Trump did vow that we would hit them hard, and we're going to hit them hard again today. Throughout, Iran inevitably made its counter threat, saying it would not be cowed by that aggression during negotiations. I think it would carry out attacks on US interests. What the question is now is if those attacks are going to happen, and if so, when and in what intensity. These attacks are what the US calls self-defense strikes after the downing of the Apache helicopter. And as Wajir and I have both just reiterated to you, the US has essentially made it very clear, or Trump has made it very clear, telegraphing as clearly as possible to the IRGC, to the Islamic Republic, this is a response from the Apache downing. This is not a return to full-scale war. It is a limited operation based on certain strikes or certain sites, across the southern part of Iran or in one specific province. What's confusing is that these strikes are continuing, and they're very spaced. They're very sparse. There's a large sort of space in between each one. There's a lot of time. It's very slow. Just imagine the amount of news and updates we would have had to provide you, and analysis on the movements in March, right? Trump said to Fox just in the past minute, he's spoken directly with Iranian officials. US jets are flying over Tehran. 49 Tomahawk cruise missiles were fired at Iran tonight. Bombing will stop shortly. Okay, so it seems to be that we're going to see an end to this after some point. But on the Iranian side, they have announced the Strait of Hormuz is closed. So maybe the Iranians won't respond with strikes at all. Maybe they'll just keep the strait closed for a couple of weeks, couple of days, and put the pressure on and just make Trump stew in his frustration at the lack of progress with the peace.
The John Wick factor that they have is not going to be happy with that. They have to get the John Wick factor. They have to get what I mean by John Wick factor is that the supreme leader and the people who are in charge at the moment, we killed like the supreme leader's parents, we killed his wife and his daughter. So the fact that they are all in a situation where they want revenge, they don't just want to fight this war. They actually have a John Wick effect at the moment. That means they want to destroy everything. So they could play it smart, but they will play it smart by taking an attack at a specific regional target. I'm not sure when they will take that attack, but I think they will take this attack within an hour or so.
Okay. Well, we'll just have to see how that goes. It is 12:30 for me in the UK. It's pretty late. I've also had my dinner of borscht, fast food, and lobster. Uh, and now I'm going to go off and have some apple pie and ice cream and maybe some after eight mints, everybody, just to make my breath incredibly delightful. All right, but Wajir, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for this marathon space. For those of you
Thank you
watching,
for having me.
no, of course. I mean, everyone watching, subscribe to Wajir's YouTube, but also if you're watching on Substack, then consider subscribing to
Subscribe
me.
to him.
Yeah, we're coming on Substack. You should be co-hosting on your Substack, right, Wajir? I think so.
No, I'm not co-hosting on my Substack actually, but they did share your Substack on my live chats for everyone to subscribe to you.
Yeah, but yeah, be sure to. But yeah, we'll get this sent out and then we can do it. But all right, guys, thanks a lot for watching. We'll speak soon, and well, let's hope that this doesn't go too much longer. But we'll have to see how it is tomorrow morning. Take care.
We'll see you tomorrow.